If you had 6 minutes left to live, what's the last song you'd listen to? I'd spent the whole 6 minutes trying to pick a song. Why did you need to call me out like this? Because unless I'm currently super obsessed with a specific song, I'm not going to be able to pick. I'm just gonna... Because today was also one of those days, driving home from work, either I'm still obsessed with a song and I listen to that on repeat for the whole drive, or I like listen to like 10 seconds of a song and I'm like, no. And then I skip it. And then sometimes I go back and just like, no, actually, still no. And I skip it again. Today was one of those days. So if it's on one of those days and I don't like turn on a song and I immediately I'm like, yes, this is the one, then no. Then I'm just gonna spend the entire time looking for a song. And then just randomly die, I guess. Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. What better way to start March than with neurodivergent memes? Which have been saved on my phone way too long because I keep losing memes and then finding them months later. So anyways, we're doing a collection of still fairly old neurodivergent memes. But you know the deal. Before I continue, y'all gotta get hydrated. So grab some water or some tea or whatever else you like to drink and then we'll continue. Are you hydrated? Good. Let's go. Me. I should clean up my room. Also me after picking up one sock. This could definitely happen of either just like not being able to start, of just like laying there like this and be like, no, I should really get started. I should really clean my room. I should really tidy up. And then you're just laying there and you're still not moving. It's either that or you just like do one thing and it's not immediately satisfying to your brain. You're just like, no, can't do it. Why? We love executive dysfunction. We love it. I'm kind of glad I randomly get either angry enough that everything's a mess, that I'm grumpy cleaning or tidying up, or just randomly become super obsessed with like decluttering and tidying that I just randomly feel really motivated to do it. Because I'm telling you, it's the only way I clean and tidy my apartment, really. That's literally the only thing saving me. Weird energy in here today, I say, referring to the inside of my brain. But I feel like I could say this a lot, like several times a day. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, like the second I start thinking about the energy inside of my brain, it's probably over. But, sometimes I'm like, it's going surprisingly well today. But the second I start thinking about it, it stops going well. So it's really dangerous to think that. But it happens this way around more often, of being like, well, why is my brain like this? When it's literally, in fact, always like this. I should not be surprised. No one who's also neurodivergent should probably be surprised, but yet we are. Because you wake up and it's like, well, no, today's gonna be different, right? Today we're gonna be able to remember things and are just like able to do things, right? That ADHD mood when all of a sudden you remember something important you're supposed to do and it leads to remembering all the other things you're supposed to remember, but it's a really inconvenient time, like the shower or in bed, and so you try to get all the things to stick in your head long enough, but you can already feel them slipping away. Why is it always moments like that? Like in bed, I could never be one of those people that doesn't keep their phone next to their bed. Like people who are like, oh no, I leave my phone in the hallway so I can like hear the alarm, but I'm not tempted to pick it up. That could literally never be me. Because for a while I tried that, to keep my phone a little bit further away and to have like a notepad and a pen next to bed and just like scribble things down in the dark, because why turn on light? But that didn't work because that seemed like too much effort, because I had to try writing sort of neatly so I could read it the next day without actually being able to see. Could I have just turned on the light? Absolutely, but that wasn't going to happen because then I'm too awake, But somehow picking up the phone makes me less awake, which doesn't make sense. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense to me, but it is the way it is, But in the shower, you're just screwed. you're literally just screwed. You can't just like you don't want to make the whole bathroom wet, because then getting out of the shower is awful, and then the whole bathroom is wet. You don't want to do that. So you just feel everything slipping away, I guess. Since it's impossible to know which period of my life is in the middle, I've decided to have an ongoing crisis. I didn't know I decided this, actually. Did I actually decide this? I'm very aware I forget things I say. I'm very aware I forget things I decided to do. And then someone's like, hey, you wanted to do that thing. And I was like, when did I say that? But apparently I did. If someone wanted to gaslight me, it might be like, no, you definitely said that. You definitely agreed with me on that. I would just be like, yeah, maybe. Doesn't sound like something I would say, but maybe you're right. Maybe I just literally forgot. So that would work. But don't do it, because gaslighting people is wrong, obviously. But still, when did I decide to have an ongoing crisis? Doesn't seem like something I would do. But apparently I did. You have my full attention, she said with 25 racing thoughts, 5 distinct noises, and a buzzing sound that no one else seems to notice. Okay, but why? Why can no one else hear the sound? That's the question I have. And also, I can't take people serious when they say, oh, you have my full attention, because what do you mean? Full attention. How do you do that? I find it hard to believe people when they say it. I know people are different, and I know some people can probably give you their full attention. But A, please don't. That's just uncomfortable. But second of all, that I find kind of hard to accept. People being different, okay, I know that, I accept that. I usually don't have that much of a hard time dealing with it, but that specific thing of someone being like, oh, I'm giving you my full attention, I find actually really hard to believe. Being diagnosed later in life is like watching a TV show with a huge plot twist revealed at the end of a season, and then rewatching it with this new knowledge and picking up on all the foreshadowing and getting upset that you didn't see all of it before. Okay, again, no need to call me out like this, because I feel like obviously there are a lot of experiences that neurodivergent people have that make us sometimes feel like, do we even have our own personality? Are we even an individual anymore? Because you will see so many other neurodivergent people who be like, no, I went through the exact same thing. This being one of them, especially for everyone who was diagnosed later. It's it just makes sense when you look back at everything. But with the knowledge you had at the time, obviously, there was no way to notice it. Doesn't mean we're not angry about it, just don't get lost in that. In a way, kind of grieving for how different your life could have been and how easier maybe it could have been is kind of fair, but please don't get lost in that, because at the end of the day, you're just wasting more time, really. Just distracted enough that I can focus is one of those things that sounds like madness to most, but actually makes perfect sense to ADHDers. I really hope that none of my manager or boss or anyone asks why I sometimes wear headphones at work, right? Because technically I don't think we're allowed to wear headphones in the office, because then we can't hear the alarms. Literally, you're never alone in the office. Even if a fire alarm or something goes off, everyone will be getting up and I'll notice. But still, I technically we're not allowed to wear headphones, but I still do, because having one distracting noise like music, even if I'm totally vibing to it, is way less distracting than hearing 10 different coworkers talking about their diet or their weekend plans or whatever. Way less distracting. So yeah, one distraction, and being a little bit distracted is less distracting than being more distracted, which makes sense, but I feel like it's not gonna make sense to my manager. But I feel like he might bring it up at some point, and I will have to explain it to him. If that happens, I'll update you. Oh, the freaking what? A doctor refuses to diagnose you properly despite fitting all the diagnostic criteria because sometimes you like to read books. Really? Wow. Me. My therapist gave me this shit too. I'm actually diagnosed, but she was still like, you graduated college without medication? You must be very high functioning. Nah, bro, I was just miserable. This is so ridiculous. I mean, the knowledge a lot of doctors and therapists have on how ADHD represents in different people, or autism, or anything really, is severely limited, because we know this because everything is studied on men. On white men mostly, and like autism on little white boys, who are obviously gonna present differently even if they technically have the same trait as a black child, or a girl, you know, or someone who was assigned female above. Like, literally, the knowledge is already severely limited, but still these doctors and psychologists feel so confident about it. That's what throws me. Obviously, if there isn't research, they can't be up to date with it. And if there's like limited research and they don't have to deal with like ADHD people or something that often, maybe they haven't had like reason to catch up, because I know it's very hard to stay up on like up to date on everything. It's kind of impossible. But if you know, like, shouldn't you be aware that new research comes out a lot and that you aren't up to date and not be so confident saying weird things like these? Because the amount of people who get told this is infuriating. Like, it's already infuriating if like your random coworker Karen from finance tells you this, right? Or like your weird Uncle Bob who like no one already likes, you know, like it's already infuriating when those people do it. But as a doctor, it's somehow way worse. Parents, if you can play video games for 6 hours, then you can do your homework for 60 minutes. ADHD kids, that's not how the force works. It literally isn't. Trust me, these kids wish it was too. Because they don't like you yelling at them, they don't like getting in trouble with their teachers, because they never do the homework. Trust me, if they could just focus and do the homework. Like, I'm aware no kids like doing the homework, okay? But still, don't you think they would at least try, you know, or do it sometimes? And not like always cry about it because I can't focus. Like, really, I know playing video games is a lot more fun. And if you're neurotypical, it also seems more fun than doing homework. But that does mean your child isn't trying. And that doesn't mean they can just focus on it, you know? Baby girl, I'm bothered by noises you wouldn't even hear. Okay, I wrote this about sensory issues, but people relating because of hallucination or tinnitus or anything else, I am shaking your hand in solidarity if you're comfortable with that. Yeah. The amount of times, though, that people ask you if you're hallucinating, he's like, don't you hear that? Can't you hear the noise? But then people legitimately just can't hear it. Just kind of assume that it's not there. They don't assume that they just can't hear it. No, they literally assume that you're hallucinating or something. Was that just me? Because people kept asking me that, like as a child and as a teenager, and then I just like gave up telling people that I heard noises, because it's like, you know what, I can go this day without being called crazy, you know? So I just kind of stopped telling people. But was that just me? What? Why does... Damn it, I forgot. I was stretching it out for dramatic effect and I freaking forgot what I was building up to. This is ADHD culture. Yeah, this is something that I have never actually experienced, but I can just picture myself doing this. To just be like, guess what? I actually like texted my coworker today because she was in the home office and I was in the office. I was like, hey, guess what song I have stuck in my head now? Because I was walking through our foyer and the song was playing, because she really liked the song a few weeks ago and she kept singing it when we were like in the office together, and I wanted to tell her that that song came on, right? And I was immediately worried I was gonna forget it. So I just typed out the message right? I like already typed it out in like Microsoft Teams, so I could just like send it so I couldn't forget. Because, well, what if I get distracted and actually lose the song that is stuck in my head? Because that's the moment it decides to vanish, you know? So I can see this happening to me, actually. I recently read, if you were lazy, you'd be having fun. And it has completely shifted my perspective on my own executive dysfunction and ADHD. Why do I feel like I included this in a video before? Like, I'm getting deja vu. I don't know if I actually included it before, but I'm definitely just gonna include it again because, yeah, if you were just lazy, you would actually just enjoy yourself. You'd be sitting there vibing with the TV show you're watching, or, you know, looking for fun YouTube videos you could watch because you want to watch those rather than doing something else. But no, you're sitting there doom scrolling and screaming at yourself in your own head to get up and do the thing or turn on the laundry or whatever. If you were lazy, you'd be having fun. Why do you eat the same food? It's my ADHD hyperfixation. But isn't it boring? No, it's the dopamine for me. But variety is the spice of life. Dopamine is my spice. Is it just me who gets so much dopamine from doing things out of spite? Because I have a feeling it really isn't, right? Because when I was a teenager, I kind of have like an on-off relationship of being vegetarian and not being vegetarian. When I was vegetarian for the first time as a teenager, I was originally just doing it because my stomach hurt every time I ate meat. So I wanted to like not eat meat for a while. But then my mom said that I couldn't do it anyways, right? That I'd stop like being vegetarian. And I stayed vegetarian for like 3 years. Just simply out of spite. And it made me happy because she would sometimes like try to be like, hey, listen, I made this food. You used to really like it. You know, do you want some? And I didn't eat it because spite. So the more you tell me that I shouldn't repeatedly eat something, or you tell me to eat something and I'm just not eating it out of spite, the more dopamine I will get from it. So actually do that, you know, because it is the saddest thing if your like hyperfixation food or your safe food suddenly changes or something, right? And you suddenly don't find it exciting anymore and you suddenly can't stand it anymore. So please do. Please just do. Please make us continue eating it out of spite because it's gonna make the dopamine food even more dopamine-y. Watch from my watch later list or add videos to my watch later lists. I cannot tell you how many videos I have on my watch later list because I keep saving videos to them. Because I used to have like 60 tabs open. Then at some point I was working with bookmarks. Then I had like 100 bookmarks. And I was just like, yo, listen, I'm just gonna delete a few. And I just added a lot of those to my watch later list. So now there is a lot of videos. There were videos on my watch later list that I didn't remember putting on there. That I questioned how I even got to those videos, right? It wasn't, oh, I really want to watch this music video at some point, I'm just gonna add it. It was random videos about random topics. And I was like, when? How? Why is this here? I was like going through it because I was like, well, I'm just gonna watch some, which is already very rare. But then I didn't watch anything because I was so confused that there were so many things that I didn't remember on it. So yeah, I still haven't watched anything from my watch later list. I just keep adding videos. And I also add more and more tabs again. I'm currently at like 30 tabs or something again. Oh well. Life with ADHD. Me. Okay, yes. Good. I've had my coffee and I've checked my emails. It is now time to work and do working things, and we have a very big project to do this weekend. My brain. If you don't pick out a rug for the living room right now, you will die. But why does it always feel so dramatic? Like, it's not even that I'm thinking things like this. I'm not thinking like, oh, if you don't do this thing now, something bad will happen, right? It's not actually thoughts like that. It's more the only thing my brain will focus on is like, okay, I'm gonna try to focus on my work, but I can't. Why do our brains do this? Literally. But if your brains do this with the actual, oh, if you don't do this thing, isn't that more of an OCD thing? You know, that if you don't do a thing, or if you don't do a thing like a certain way, you know, like repeatedly like switching on the light 3 times or something, that you don't rationally think, oh, something bad is gonna happen, but your brain tells you something bad will happen, even though you rationally know it's not true, obviously. But that's more of an OCD thing. ADHDers often feel like we should be able to do something because we've done it before, or that our difficulty with focus or productivity isn't a real disability because sometimes we can do it just fine. Guys, ladies, gentlethems, this is the disability, the inconsistency. Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, the actual disability isn't because of the inconsistency, but that's kind of what disability does. It's inconsistent, yeah. Like, some days will feel a lot better. Some days, like, even with physical disabilities, like, some people sometimes need to use a wheelchair, but sometimes they can walk fine. Like, they're probably still in pain, but they can sort of walk, right? And it's fine. But other days they can't. It's kind of the same with the disability of your brain, really. Like, some days you're going to be able to do the thing kind of fine, and other days you feel like you can't do anything anymore. That's kind of what disability does, actually. Me after being awake for an hour. Oh, what a day. Okay, again, I know this really probably isn't just me, but mornings are the worst. Like, I don't actually technically have a hard time waking up and getting up, but I will be so irritable the first 2 or 3 hours after being after waking up. Anything that happens is too much. Like, it's already kind of a problem during the day. I'm always kind of irritable, and I'm very easily overstimulated and everything. It's already kind of an issue, but it's specifically bad in the morning. But I keep forgetting about it. And I'm just like, oh, this day is so shit. This day is just, it's not gonna get better. But then it does, because it usually does that, you know? Because the more I'm awake, the more my brain tends to balance in a little bit, I guess. But I forget about it every morning, and then I wonder why I'm so angry. Well, should I know this? Yes, because it happens a lot, but I don't. Because, yeah, I just don't, okay? Me. I'm sad. I need a purpose. My brain. Did you say purchase? No brain. Reel it back in. Don't start thinking about all the things on your wish list or on your to remember list. Don't. Don't open TikTok. Don't look for new stuff. It's not gonna work. Because I know ADHD and novelty is a big thing, really, and that new things are really exciting, and that they do generally give you dopamine to help you, but really that's neither sustainable nor a good thing, because over-consuming is already such a thing. So maybe don't say purchase, brain. Really, please don't. Oh, brother, I've had this date a few years back with an autistic guy, and he was like, oh, by the way, you're autistic too. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then he went through this listing of every diagnostic trait he'd noticed, ending with, and you haven't made eye contact with me once. Well, I sat there getting more and more furious. In retrospect, I think it was very funny, and I hope he's doing well. Neither diagnosed nor undiagnosed, but a secret third thing. Peer-reviewed. Honestly, peer reviewing works so much better. It works so much better because, I mean, obviously autistic experiences are all still very different depending on how you grew up, you know, and everything. But still, there's just like a lot of things that autistic people can clock in other autistic people that are like, you do this thing because you have sensory issues. You dislike this because you're autistic. You're angry when someone shows up late because it disturbs the plan you had in your mind. That's because you're autistic. And it's like, autistic people can clock this, and other people, like neurotypicals, and sometimes like neurotypical doctors too, will just be like, oh yeah, no, you're just, I don't know, you're just a punctual person. You're just a little quirky, you know, like it's fine, it doesn't mean you're autistic. But really, the autistics know. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people would be mad, and it's maybe not the preferred way to do it, but honestly, I kind of get wanting to do it, because sometimes you just look at people and just like, no, there's no way. Listen, I hope my sister never finds this channel, but I have 3 siblings, but one of my sisters so very obviously has ADHD, and I don't know how to tell her. I don't know how to tell her, because yeah, and it's ridiculous, because actually I needed like a parent review for my diagnoses of like what I was like in the ages 8 to 10, because, well, apparently, but I didn't want to ask my dad. So I asked her, because like she's my oldest sibling, so she was at least sort of like, she's like 12 years older than me. So I was like, yeah, it's fine, you know. And even then, I was kind of hoping she would catch on. And I still, it's been years and I still don't know how to tell her really. So I respect this dude doing it to you, actually, because then at least you got thinking about it, and then you could research it for your own, you know, when you stop being so mad about it. Happy ADHD month! After 6 months of living with a broken kitchen sink, I finally asked the landlord to fix it, and it was fixed within 5 minutes. Will I learn from this experience? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, we think we're gonna learn. That's like the worst thing. Like, I will do something like this, and be like, oh, I'm just gonna remember this for next time. Only I won't. I kind of know I won't, because I know my brain. I know it doesn't work. But I still think it will work this time, right? Like, oh yeah, no, okay, I was dramatic about it for like 6 months. Okay, I will actually like remember, but I really won't. You know, but that's okay. Like, it legitimately makes me feel better that I'm not the only person going through this. Because if you feel like you're the only person going through it, you kind of think you're going crazy a bit, and that it's just stupid that you can't get your brain to remember it. But when you know, you know. That's why diagnoses, whether peer-reviewed or like actual diagnosis or self-diagnosis, it is important, really, because then you know you're not actually crazy. Your brain just works a little differently, and sometimes you wish it would work differently than it does, but you have one brain. I'm sorry. We just gotta find ways to make that work with us and not against us, really. Anyways, that was all the memes for today. We're literally in October 23. Like I said, I found really old memes. So literally, because they're so old, I don't know if I ever actually included them in a video before or not. If I did, and you remember watching that video, you're welcome, I guess. But I do change my mind a lot, and I learn new things about my brain, so even if I included them before, I probably said different things about them. So, you know, if you watched videos before where I had the same memes, let me know in the comments, because I still have so many old memes saved. But we'll go through them. For the first time or again, I don't really care. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're hydrated. If not, maybe go drink something now, and I'll be back in a few days with my next video.